A significant opportunity is ready to connect with you in your life. But we can only connect to opportunities to the level that we are receptive to them, to the level that we can perceive them. Whenever this message shows up, it comes with some keys and points of awareness that you can remember and activate within yourself so that as these opportunities emerge in your life, you are able to act on them or with them with clarity, discernment, and presence. I'm Danielle Lynn, and I'm a traveler across time and space, just like you. And I offer these messages at precise moments in synchronicity to reach you when it matters. And this particular matter has to do with something that's never been seen before, something you are bringing forward that has never been seen before, which I find quite fascinating. There are some significant stories that have been shed. There are some significant stories that you have shed in your life. You have done integrative work. You have gone through several cycles of shift at this point. And I am recognizing that there still may be some stories of disillusionment, sadness, or even a flat feeling present right now, a bit of an over itness that's present in the field. Very understandable. Been there. I got the t-shirt. We'll all wear t-shirts together. And what seems really highlighted at this moment is as these new opportunities are showing up, we're engaging in this reality through the form of stories. Stories that we tell ourselves, stories that we tell each other, stories that have been perpetuated as myth or idea across time and space. And being aware of your participation in these stories will allow you to understand where attachments have been so that you can be discerning about either keeping those attachments there or allowing a bit of space and clarity to be present so that natural quantum shifts are possible. I imagine that you understand the power of cultivating space for yourself. Well, more importantly than ever, this is being highlighted at this time. Now, space can be literal space. This could be you clearing off space in your life, in your closet, in your desk, in your garage, whatever it is. But this is also internal space. What you consistently think about. What do you mull over all the time? What do you imagine your challenges that will finally bring salvation? Another step here is I invite you not to get caught up in the stories and dramas that are happening around you. It's not that you must be completely disconnected from them, but please understand that there are just greater forces at play here. And if you can bring yourself to remember the trust that you have for arriving and incarnating here at this time, you can also consider that you are equipped with everything you need to navigate this moment in reality. You might just need to widen your perception field about what it is you are here to do and be at your core. If things that you thought you wanted aren't, let's say, appearing to line up for you, or there's a lot of resistance or push towards it, there might be a reevaluation of how you're approaching it. It may not be the resonant timing, or it may just be the moment to set it down and go, okay, if not that now, then what now? Because from that point, you're not trying to impose your will on life. You're instead saying, my will and life are one, which involves a coordination with the flow of life, and perhaps a reorientation of how you view your will, your energy, and participation in the world. If you feel very upset at things, if you feel very charged up by things, there is some form of attachment there, whether it's an attachment to a story or an attachment to an outcome or a way of being. And that means there's probably something for you to authentically feel and reconcile within yourself. These emotions aren't something for you to just bypass by going, well, it's just an attachment, or it's not real, or it's not matter. The paradox of all of this is until we actually connect authentically with the things we're feeling, then we don't receive the integration with the source of self that is feeling those feelings. And so while they may be based on illusions, the experiences we're having within ourselves are real. And so by integrating, by feeling and fully embracing the moment as it is without wishing it was different or looking for a tomorrow to fix it, and that's part of what this reminder is bringing you, that you don't necessarily need to heal more to move forward, but there's something in allowing yourself to move forward as you are that creates the integration process itself. And I invite you to really contemplate what that could look like for you. For myself, it was something like, what if I needed to just move forward the way I was and what I was trying to resolve never got resolved? And I realized there was a big resistance in there. I wanted to resolve the things that felt disoriented in me. But I realized that it was sort of the pursuit of resolving them that was keeping them fixed in place in the first place. And on some level, by choosing not to make that a stopping point before I proceeded, and doing so with deliberate focus, not as a way of avoiding what I was feeling, but rather as an acknowledgement of where I found myself in the moment and also a choice to move forward anyway, that it created a tremendous shift. And if this is something you're interested in exploring, I do invite you to check out the lab. Inside of it, I have self-alchemy integration, which is a form of internal family systems meets shadow work. And it allows you to interface with stories and parts of yourself that may be very ready for nurturing, healing, and being seen. Whatever's been churning in there, this feels like a call to attention to bring you back to the present moment. Because a lot of the things that are going on there, I'm just going to say it, they don't matter the way you might think they do. And I don't mean that in a dismissive way. There are just certain things that may be playing out or looping out that don't need to be anymore. And I imagine that there is a part of you that is aware of this. You are already aware of this. And you may have already even been in process to explore how to shift that, address that. I'm going to bring forward to you a technique or approach that I shared several messages ago. And it's the one of carrying items on the tray and then dropping the tray. You place the items you are mulling over as items on a tray in your thoughts. Okay, I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about that. And you imagine yourself carrying the tray, you walk with the tray, and then finally you just drop it. And as you drop it, you actually allow the thoughts themselves to drop with it. Some people have recently talked to me and said, well, I know I need to drop the tray, but I really don't want to. There's going to be a whole mess to clean up. What I've invited some people to do in that case is go to your thrift store, buy a tray and buy some things in order for you to place them, label them, place them on the physical tray, go out and drop a physical tray. Because now you're doing it in reality. And certainly there will be something to clean up. But the catharsis that you experience is well worth taking a few moments to sweep things up with a broom. And by demonstrating this viscerally with yourself, you're able to actually experience it energetically. Another version of this is having rocks, writing things on those rocks and maybe throwing them in a pond one by one. There are so many different ways that you can work with yourself kinetically, somatically, meaning with your body, with movement, with energy, to release that can correlate to you also dropping it within yourself. And I would invite you to experiment with that. Everything I'm sharing here is about experimentation. You have no requirement to take my word for it. You might invite yourself to experiment with it, to take it beyond the realm of concept or thought, to take it beyond the realm of hearing what is being shared right now and say to yourself, what is one step I am willing to embody in this life? What is one step that sounds interesting to me, or at the very least, I'll give it a go? What I'm describing right now is not something that you must conceptualize with the mind, but it is something that I imagine a core aspect of yourself remembers. And in certain ways, you could look at this as some kind of integration codon remembering point for yourself. Please remember to use your own discernment as you're exploring these possibilities, because each of us has our own unique way of navigating reality. And the more that we are in remembering of our core self, the more empowered our choices are, and they no longer come from a place of being immersed in a story, attempting to force one's will through the story, and rather operate more from a central fulcrum standpoint in which we are navigating the various facets of reality as we see fit. I believe a common misconception about reality creation, being a magician, and all these things is people sometimes imagine the importance of imposing their will upon reality. I'm going to create this, I'm going to create that. And what I find is more often than not, as you operate from a core self-understanding, most things will materialize for you. The things that are actually part of what matters to you are able to synchronistically connect with you along the way. Now, please, I'm going to invite a bit of very clear practical thought here, because this isn't about attempting to bypass challenges or mundaneness in life through the idea of quantum reality or quantum shifting. This is actually an invitation for direct participation in life through what might seem mundane, and yet through being present and honest with oneself, you will be able to actually coordinate your actions, your movements, and what you focus on, so that while doing very seemingly practical, simple things, life will appear to magically take shape around you with a lot less resistance present. Most resistance to things happening in life usually come from a constructed ego story or idea or ideal of how it should be or has to be. And so people get very wrapped up in that story, and when things don't go according to story, they get very disoriented or start to have doubt or start to feel as though, well, wait, this isn't working out. What am I doing wrong? And then there's a lot of energy that goes into trying to fix these things. So I'm offering you an invitation to remember where your actual orientation comes from, so that as you are taking these practical steps in your reality, whatever they are, you, one, have less of a engagement of fear around them. Now here's an opportunity to really take a look at anything repeated that has not been feeling nourishing. And it could be an idea of your fatigue, how tired this is. It could be an idea of how hard things are, fairness, unfairness. All these things are rooted in a perspective, and that perspective is often disadvantaged, and you are not required to stay there. You are not required to judge it, but you're also not required to stay there. And the opportunity to really transmute it and shift it is to see it as the story it is, without shaming or condemning it, without trying to bypass it or ignore it, seeing it as it is, inviting yourself to authentically feel the feelings without perpetuating the feelings, because there's a difference between perpetuating the state and fully digesting it and integrating it. And if you're not certain how to do this, I would invite you to explore things like internal family systems, shadow work, or check out the Self-Alchemy Lab, where we have self-alchemy integration, which is a very full course on internal family systems and shadow work. And as you integrate these aspects of self, these stories, then your opportunity now is to be able to be present and receptive to the new things that will emerge in your life. And they are emerging. But I really do invite you to have an open mind and heart about what's emerging, because that's the other part of it. The other part of it is let go of any ideas of how you think this has to look. We're in a wild time, but you are a unique and wild creature. So your ability to let go of how this should be or how it's supposed to look will allow for you to be able to discern the things that are emerging that you might be creating. You might be fusioning something out of nothing. Remember what I said about the element? I perceive you are calling in a new element. And to do something that's never been done before, we got to be willing to get a little creative with it, maybe even a little absurd with it. And so, my friend, I imagine that these messages have been able to land precisely where needed. I trust you to navigate with clarity with what you have here and now. And I invite you to explore the description link, as it has pathways and portals to things like the Flow Book, the Self-Alchemy Lab, and also other portals that I offer at various times. You can check it out for yourself. And in all cases, I look forward to our next connection.